Hey guys, it's me, Troy Dellinger, and tonight I'm going to be talking about the life of King David, and we are going to be doing our continuation of the monarchy in Israel. And where we left off, we started at the first king, which was King Saul, and he was anointed by Samuel to be the first king of Israel. And he started off good. The Bible says he was more goodly of everyone else, and he had a good start, but then he disobeyed the commandment of the Lord from Samuel the prophet, and he didn't fully follow the Lord, and he disobeyed Samuel and didn't kill all the Amalekites, and he left some. He spared some things over, and he disobeyed the Lord, and he was stubborn, and so the consequence was that he would have his kingdom removed and taken to another. So Samuel the prophet was after that began searching for a man after God's own heart, and the one that would be after God's own heart was a young shepherd boy and musician named David, and he would be the next king of Israel, but he started off as just a common shepherd boy because that's the type of people that the Lord uses. God chooses the weak things of the world and the low esteemed, and Samuel he anointed David to be king, but he wouldn't officially become king. Saul was still reigning as the king, and David would become King Saul's right-hand man. And David was a wise young man, and he honored King Saul. He did everything that King Saul asked him to do, and he even defeated the powerful Philistine Goliath, and Goliath was a massively huge individual, and David killed him. And David was a champion. He destroyed thousands of Philistines, and he was held as a hero, treated as a hero for Israel. Or I wouldn't necessarily put it in terms hell. I'm kind of careful with the way I use that term, but he was regarded by everybody as a great warrior, a great champion, a great leader and hero in Israel. And he even became the king's son-in-law. But Saul became very envious because Saul was a wicked man, and David was a righteous man, and David had more success in military and many other things, and Saul saw this. King Saul saw this and this success, and he became envious, and he tried to kill David many times, and David got away from him, and David had opportunity after opportunity to kill King Saul, but he didn't do it because, David said he's not going to kill the king's anointed, or the Lord's anointed, I should say. So David never killed him. Saul would just continue and continue in his sin and his rebellion towards God, and to the point where he was just digging himself deeper and deeper into a hole. And finally he went to go see the witch of Endor, and he tried to conjure up the spirit of Samuel the prophet, which was a violation of the commandments of God. And Saul was judged for this, and he was destroyed by the Philistines, and also by suicide, because he had one of the people kill him, and that was his judgment. And David became king after Saul's death, but David wasn't happy when Saul died. He didn't just say, "Oh, I'm the king now, and I'm glad that he died." And in fact, he punished the person that killed King Saul. But he did become the king, and he was a great king, had many victories. His life was, I wouldn't call a luxurious life. You know, there's people that say, well, you know, you're a king, you live in luxury and comfort, but David's life was anything but comfort. He had many challenges, many trials, many suffering that he had to go through to accomplish this kingship, because the Lord was testing him to see if he was worthy, and he proved himself to be worthy. And all throughout his life, he was in wars and battles, and even by his own king, Saul, and his life was just it wasn't a walk in the park. David had some issues. David committed adultery, and David also had somebody killed to cover up his adultery. So he definitely had some slip-ups and some faults for sure, but David repented of that, and he was chastened, and he lost one of his children from it. And David had many family issues as well. His own son Absalom led a revolt against him, and he had to, and it was just a really ugly mess. And then finally, Absalom died for his revolt. So that pretty much sums up the life of King David, and next I will be talking about King David's son, King Solomon. Thank you for watching.